Breaking news. Time is running out for NFL teams, including the Eagles. Our GM Howie Roseman is a smart, cautious, and strategic guy. Knowing this, we fans can stay calm. But despite everything, I confess that I'm still anxious for the season to start. It was great to win the Super Bowl last season, and I believe we have everything to win it again. If you agree with me, hit the like button hard and write something like, "Go Eagles! Let's win the Super Bowl again." I really believe in this. Our team is very good and it will get even better. Now, we have an important subject to bring to you. The future of Bryce Huff. Did he really fit into this Eagles defense, or was his time in Philadelphia doomed from the start? And with negotiations heating up, should Howie Roseman pull the trigger before it's too late? That's what we're breaking down today, so buckle up, Eagles fans. Because this might be the last time you hear Bryce Huff's name in Midnight Green. Let's rewind. Last offseason, Howie Roseman made a splash in free agency, signing Huff to a 3-year, $51.1 million contract with $34 million guaranteed. A huge payday for a guy who had just racked up 10 sacks with the Jets in 2023. The expectation? That he would be the cornerstone of the Eagles' pass rush. The reality? A complete afterthought in Vic Fangio's system. So much so that when it mattered most, in Super Bowl 59, he didn't even suit up. Think about it. The Eagles, a team built to dominate in the trenches, paid this guy $17 million a year, and when they needed all hands on deck against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Huff was nowhere to be found. Not because of an injury, he was healthy, but because the Eagles coaching staff didn't trust him to contribute. That says it all. The writing was on the wall from the beginning. Even back in training camp, Fangio didn't seem to believe in Huff. He was playing deep into preseason games, something you don't see with star-caliber free agent signings. And when Fangio was asked about Huff, the responses weren't exactly glowing. The message was clear. Huff wasn't a fit in this scheme. And when the season started, his snap count reflected that. Up and down, inconsistent. And by the time the playoffs rolled around, rookie Jalen Hurts, yes, a rookie, was out-snapping him. Nolan Smith was getting more burn. Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari were brought in this offseason. The Eagles are moving on. So, where does that leave Huff now? Trade talks are buzzing, and two teams have emerged as possible landing spots: the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. Both teams are in need of an edge rusher. Both teams are in Super Bowl contention mode. And both teams have reason to believe Huff could still be a 10-sack guy in the right system. San Francisco is particularly interesting. Their new defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, the same guy who helped Huff break out with the Jets. The Niners are known for their wide nine defensive front, which fits Huff's skill set much better than Fangio's system ever did. And with the Niners losing key defensive pieces like Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, they could use a pass rusher who can get after the quarterback. Detroit is another team that could make sense. Right now, their pass rush outside of Aiden Hutchinson is questionable. They haven't re-signed Zadarius Smith. Josh Paschal hasn't lived up to his second-round draft status. Marcus Davenport has been injury-prone. Huff could walk into Detroit and immediately compete for a starting role. But what's the trade value? That's where things get tricky. The Eagles have a decision to make. Do they cut their losses and take whatever they can get? Bleacher Report proposed a trade idea. Huff to the Lions for a 4th round and a 7th round pick in the 2025 draft. Honestly, if Howie Roseman got that offer, he'd probably take it in a heartbeat. Right now, Huff's contract is a problem. He carries a $7.5 million cap hit in 2025, and if they trade him before June 1st, they take on a $12.9 million dead cap hit. The Eagles aren't in desperate need of cap space this year, but Roseman is always thinking ahead. They have 5 key contract extensions coming up: Reed Blankenship, Cam Jurgens, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Jordan Davis. Moving off Huff's deal now could help clear the books for those moves. So, is a 4th round pick realistic? Probably not. More likely the Eagles would get a 5th, maybe even a 6th. But at this point, getting anything, is better than having a $51 million rotational player who doesn't fit the system.
Now, let's flip this around for a second. What if the Eagles don't trade Huff? Could they still salvage this situation? Maybe, but he'd have to fight for his spot. The Eagles have already added Ojulari and Uche. They love what they have in Hunt, and Nolan Smith is on the rise after his breakout season. Where does Huff fit into that equation? This isn't a player who's washed up. He still has talent. He still has upside. But in this system, with this coaching staff, it just doesn't seem like he'll ever be more than an afterthought. And when you're paying a guy $17 million a year, that's just not good enough. So Eagles fans, it's your turn. If you're Howie Roseman, what do? Trade him now and get what you can. Hold on to him and hope he finds a role? Or do you see a scenario where Huff actually turns it around in Philly? Let me know in the comments. And while you're at it, let's take this discussion a step further. Because the Bryce Huff situation isn't just about one player. It's about how the Eagles are reshaping this defense and, more importantly, what Howie Roseman is building for the future. Let's not forget how Roseman operates. He's always playing chess while other GMs are playing checkers. This offseason alone, he's already made it clear that he's prioritizing youth, flexibility, and long-term planning over short-term patchwork. Signing guys like Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche to low-risk, high-upside deals, that's classic Howie. Bringing in Vic Fangio, a defensive coordinator who is notorious for being system-driven and unwilling to bend his scheme to fit a player's strengths, another sign that the Eagles are committed to a certain vision. And that's what makes the Huff situation so fascinating. This was a guy who was supposed to be part of that vision, at least in the eyes of the front office. They wouldn't have paid him $51 million otherwise. But when the rubber met the road, the coaching staff didn't see it the same way. And that disconnect? That's something that doesn't happen often in Philadelphia. Howie and the coaches are usually in sync. This feels like one of the rare times where big investment just flat out didn't work. Now, does that mean the Eagles are in trouble? Not at all. In fact, if anything, this just shows why they've been so successful. Other teams would cling to Huff just because of his contract. Other teams would force him into a starting role just to justify the money. Not the Eagles. If they don't think you're a fit, you're gone, no matter how much they paid you. That's how a team stays competitive year after year. That's why they've been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. So let's take a big picture look. If the Eagles move on from Huff, who steps up? The edge rusher rotation is already looking stacked. Jalen Hurts flashed in the playoffs and Super Bowl. Nolan Smith is coming off a monster year with 6.5 sacks in the regular season and 4 more in the playoffs. Ojulari, when healthy, has shown he can be a force. Josh Uche is a wild card, but in the right role, he can be effective. The Eagles don't need Huff, they have options. And that's not even mentioning the looming extensions for Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. These two, they're the real anchors of this defense. If you're the Eagles, you're thinking long-term. You're making sure those guys stay in Philly for the next decade. Moving Huff isn't just about getting rid of a bad contract. It's about making sure you can lock up the pieces that actually matter. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. What if Huff goes somewhere else and balls out? What if he turns into a 12-sack guy in San Francisco? Wouldn't that be a disaster? Honestly, no, because that just means he was never a fit here. You can't force a scheme mismatch to work. We've seen this before. Guys leave, thrive in a new system, and people freak out. But that's just football. Players need the right fit to succeed, and Huff never found that in Philly. So, let's get back to the trade itself. The Lions and Niners are in play. If Roseman gets an offer, it might not be the blockbuster return fans want, but it's better than keeping a player who isn't in the team's long-term plans.